Hi, my name is Delit, and I want to share my love of cross stitch with you today. And we're going to do that by looking at the magazine Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. This is a vintage magazine from the 1980s. This issue is from January, February 1989. The magazine started being published in 1985 by Craftways Corporation. Eventually, Better Homes and Gardens bought the magazine and turned it into another magazine called Cross Stitch and Needlework. I'll share that with you in a different video. Today we're just going to look at cross stitch and country crafts. And so let's have a look at the cover design. And let's have a look at a few of the details. I'm going to point out to you that there's a nice rope border. Of course, we have our whale and our green sea, and then we have the wheel that you guide the ship with, the compass, and the anchor along with our beautiful ship. And down here they've made either a paperweight or some other item using just one of the parts of the design. In this case it's the compass, but you could use other items from the design and stitch just that to put in and display in a certain way. Here we go. Especially wanted you to notice the floss that goes across here is the ropes holding the sails up on the ship. It looks really neat the way they've done that, where it's not stitched into each stitch, but kind of stretches across several blocks. And I'm going to apologize straight away that this part of the magazine has been cut out. The previous owner must have sent in the little order form for one of these items. They do have a nice little scroll frame and box and different things that you could order. So the first thing that I really like in this particular issue that shows a few of the earlier issues of the magazine and some of the designs that were featured in it. It shows that you could buy this binder to keep your magazines in, your Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazine. And then it has a list of earlier issues of the magazine, all of the ones they had published that far up until 1989 that you could order back issues for. So that's a nice way to see when, that was how I was able to see when the magazine started being published. I'm going to let you have a look at all this. On the next page, we have an editorial, our table of contents, letters to the editor, and a cartoon. On the next page, we have information for beginning the project. So they give you a guide for how difficult the projects are with little star ratings for easy to difficult, and then how to choose the right needle for the project that you're going to use, how to read the symbols in the charts, and how to get started on your fabric and making your cross stitches. And this is part of a project on another page. They kind of spread things out throughout the magazine. So you can have a pattern like the picture for the design, but the pattern is somewhere else. Instructions can be here and then somewhere else. So in this case, they're in the front of the magazine, and then the rest of the designer instructions are later on. So you just kind of have to search around for what you're looking for. So on this next page, we have a design that I'm going to try to cover up with another issue of the magazine. And so I can show you the rest, which is some instructions on one of the projects, basically, that comes later. And you'll notice that it has a picture of wheat, which relates to one of the crafts that they show in this magazine. And that is because it is called cross stitch and country crafts. So these are crafts that people use to decorate their homes or for whatever other reason, mainly for decorating. And in fact, it has a craft that I had never heard of before in here. So the next page shows you how to do one of the designs or projects in the magazine, which includes taking paper. This is not the one I haven't heard of. That's on another page. I've seen this before, but taking paper where you weave the paper in and out like basket weaving. You'll understand when you see the picture of the design. But I'm just going to show you this because of it being, I don't know, it's interesting. And this had the pattern that you would stitch. Over here, you'll see there's a cross stitch right here of a bouquet. It's really cute. And then on the other, these are little note cards you could make. On the other ones, what you cross stitch is just a saying, and then you do the basket weaving that they showed you and add like flowers and things to make like a basket that's holding flowers. Yeah, so we'll just have a look. And those are really cute note cards that you can make. This might have been on perforated paper, which is kind of, yeah, anyway. Yeah, perforated paper. If you've never stitched on perforated paper, it's not bad. I I like stitching on perforated paper. I made a card for my brother's wedding 20 years ago. Well, 19 years ago. No, it is 20 years ago this year. In another month, they'll have their 20th wedding anniversary on perforated paper. I encourage you to try that if you can get your hands on some. Here we go. This is called wheat weaving. This is the technique or the craft that I had never heard of before. And I'll just go ahead and show that to you. It's very interesting. And then I'll show you what the finished product looks like. And when you're all done, it makes what you'll see at the top here, and then they have a cross stitch design down below. I think it's very pretty and very interesting. I'm not sure where you would get the wheat um, for the weaving if they carry that in craft stores now. It might have been easier to do back in the 80s when this came out. That was kind of like decorating in a country style. That was the kind of country style. I know country is still popular, but it's a little different nowadays from what they did in the 80s. I thought that the cross stitch design itself, though, I loved this cross stitch of the wheat. I thought that was really pretty. Okay, and then on the next page, they have a designer profile. It's very short compared to some articles in other magazines. But anyhow, this is for Carol Costello, and then you'll see the design below. So it's a very pretty design, and it might look simple to look at, but this would be a harder design to stitch, actually. This is, sorry, this right here is the only part that's cross-stitched. You should have noticed when I showed that to you that this is back stitch, which is also simple and not hard, but it is an additional stitch to know how to do besides just the cross stitch. It's actually easier than cross stitch. But these other things that you see in here, yeah, on the border that make the lace are other, and then I guess right here in the middle are other stitches. So they do show you over here. Well, let me cover that up, the design up. They do have a stitch diagram that shows you how to complete those stitches. But I mean, it is an additional skill to have besides the cross stitch. You'll also see that the patterns, the charts, they're not just black and white. They do have some part of it that they put in pink or red. It looks pink actually. But they do that to kind of help make it easier than just black and white to see where all your different symbols are. It's a very cute design that she came up with there. So then you have the other thing I wanted to point out is that some of the magazine is on like kind of like the paper in a coloring book, and then some of it is full color and like glossy magazine pages, nice thick heavy pages. So that's just something that they did back then. On the next part after one of the patterns, they have a design for a chicken, and it's part of like a series. So in one issue of the magazine, they had in the previous issue of the magazine in September, October, two previous issues, September, October, and then November, December, they had other designs for chickens. And then this is the final issue that has a chicken in it. And I'm going to show it to you because my sister has decided, with egg prices being so high, that she's going to start raising chickens. So I thought she might not be the only one. There might be a few of you out there that are kind of fascinated by chickens lately and would like to see this. Now this is just the same as this. This just isn't framed. Um, I wanted to point out a few things in the designs that I thought were neat. One is the way the chicks look in this picture. Here you have the classic little yellow chick, but these chicks are a different color. And then they're all sitting in something different. We have our apple basket and our bowl and our basket. I love the bowl. I think that's really cute. And I prefer the white chicken. This is kind of a fancier looking chicken, but I just really love, this is my favorite of the three designs. They also each have some sort of symbol in them. Here we have some flowers, and here we have an apple, but here we have a heart-shaped trivet. And I just wanted to point that out to you. I thought that was really neat. I'm not sure that I've seen a trivet or a heart-shaped trivet cross-stitch design before. It's very tiny. And you do kind of have to have a context for it to understand that that's what you're seeing. And then they, down at the bottom, they have this cute little picture to let you know what kind of a series they would be doing next, which type of pictures they were going to be featuring. And so the next page has a really beautiful Victorian floral design. My mother would love this. She would just think this was so beautiful. And I know that partly from knowing my mother, but also right now she is stitching a different Victorian floral design on black Aida cloth. And I wanted to bring that up partly just to talk about black Aida cloth. If you've never stitched on it, you can try. It's not that you can't do it. If I can do it, you can do it. But it's not easy. You You benefit from having light behind the fabric. I do. And I like to stitch on it that way. My mother does not do it that way. She just stitches on it and doesn't worry about holding it up to the light to see where the holes are. She's 79 and she just tells me to come check it. And if there's a mistake, we take it out. She puts it in the hole where the hole is. But anyhow, the flowers in here are really pretty, and I wanted to point out to you the tulip. That is just one of the most beautiful tulips I've seen, especially just in plain cross stitch without any specialty stitches added. And also the carnation, really beautiful. I also really like how it's a circular floral design. My mother also really loves those. So I like them too, but like she just has a passion for them. And the floral border is would not be difficult to stitch and adds such a touch of class to this. And I really like how they've displayed it in a pillow. You can certainly frame something like this instead. Um, I don't know how expensive it is to get like a circular frame and frame it without a border. Either one would be very pretty. Up here they have the little like brooch. And on the other page, the facing page, they do show it framed in a circular frame. And then they've taken a floral part of the design and put it here, which is like a lid for um, a jar. I think it's the same thing. That's fuchsia um, that they've featured there. Oh, and they show the little brooch down here. I don't think you can see it better, though, down there. Um, so anyhow, and then they give you the instructions of how to do it. It turns out that this is actually a mirror. So this is one side, and then you flip it over, and it has a mirror. So the next page has a teddy bear design that we're gonna kind of skip over. I must not have been as in love with it as the other designs. This part gives instructions on how to do that design, like how to frame it and do the pattern. And then it has something called Market Notes, which is products that you can buy. And here they have a quilting bee contest. So this is, again, country crafts. So quilting is another country craft. And then we have our pattern for our um, floral design. And I wanted to just show you this one thing they have on the same page with that and the instructions for that. Down at the bottom, they have something called My Favorite Store. So someone wrote in and told about their favorite needlework shop. So that person lived down in Arkansas, and AK is Arkansas, right? AL is Alaska, I think. AL is not Arkansas, so I think AK is Arkansas. AZ is Arizona. Anyhow, I thought that was nice how they did that. There really just aren't the needlework shops anymore that you can go to. Around here we have Joann's, Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and I think Walmart might still have a few things. Not much. They used to carry a lot more. That's where I got uh, my very first cross stitch kit. Actually, I didn't buy patterns until after I had done a kit, and my mother wanted to get a cross stitch pattern, and I became interested simply because she was interested. And so I got a kit to do a little burst sampler for my nephew who was going to be born the next year, and that was the first time I had been to a super Walmart. And I was just, it's totally commonplace now. But for people who have grown up being used to that, they might not appreciate that you didn't used to have stores like that. And it was just kind of amazing. I was like, they have everything here. I can get something for my car. I can buy a gallon of milk. I can get cross stitch. This is kind of amazing. I can buy clothes. And it would be it would be an adjustment to go back to life without that. I suppose some people don't shop in those kinds of stores. I hear people, yes, I have fancy friends. I hear people say that they don't shop at Walmart, which is great. That's fine if they don't want to shop at Walmart. I do. It's convenient and it's easy. So on the next page, oh, I really love this feature of the magazine. So I'm going to show you the designs and then I'll tell you why this feature is interesting to me. So you see several different designs here, and these won prizes in a design contest. So as a reader of the magazine, you could send in your design to compete in the contest, and this one won first prize. And then the others won a different prize. And I think it's really cute. And I also really like this one and this one. The others are okay. I have no need to stitch sneakers personally, but these others are cute. I really like this one too. So then on this page, so here's the pattern, which I'm trying to kind of cover up. They give you instructions on how to make things like the little roll and then the sachet. So I think this is, oh, maybe this is the sachet. And this is the pillow. We'll just look at that. Oops, sorry. Some people know how to do all of that and they don't need somebody to give them instructions, or they wouldn't. But other people like me, I would benefit from having the instructions to follow. Just like when I made crepes this morning. Kind of turned out closer to noon because we had an interruption, but I had to come back and look at my computer with the recipe to make sure it was 2 cups of milk and 3 eggs, and not 3 cups of milk and 2 eggs. And then also I put the wrong amount of flour in. So I had to go back and check. So the next, so I like that feature of the magazine, having a design contest and then getting to see the designs that people sent in. The next page has one of my favorite designs from the magazine. I love this. And then there's another design over here to show you. You'll see that it talks about the fabric Flobo, which is being featured in this section with this design. And so these are all stitched on this fabric called Floba. And the reason for the 3 different pictures of the same design is they've stitched them on different sizes of the fabric. It says here you have your 14 count, 18 count, and 25 count. So this one that I'm going to show you is the 18 count. And that's a planter, actually. I don't know how you find a planter, but anyhow, that you can put a cross-stitch design in. That's really pretty. And they show you the difference of how it looks to do it on the different sizes of the fabric. Those of you who have been stitching for a while already know the difference in the appearance from stitching on 18 count or 14 count or 25 count. But if you're not familiar with that, that's good to understand how the difference in how it looks. So I believe the 25 count is the eyeglasses case, and the 14 count is the picture. So it turns out big on the 14 count, and it turns out small on the 25 count, and therefore, and on 25 count, sometimes you can stitch over a larger area, and it can turn out just as big as on the 14 count. So it does depend on how you do it, but you can make it smaller. It's easier to make it smaller because of the way the holes are divided. So it's easier to stitch on 14 count and harder to stitch on 25 count. So your 18 count is in the middle, and that is a lot easier to stitch on than 25 count, and it still gives a pretty nice appearance. But you are giving up a little bit of easiness. I've noticed when I am stitching on 14 count, I'll think, wow, I can go fast because of how much easier it is to find the holes and slip your needle through. And then they also give you instructions on how to make the different things, the planter, the eyeglasses case, and some of that is over here. And they give their instructions. And then they have something called your local shops, where they have advertisements for shops in all over the country, California, Illinois, and a buyer's guide with various things you can buy that you can use with what you're stitching, like the perforated paper or the weaver's wheat. That's where you would get your wheat from. Well, yeah. different things like that. It goes on to the next page, and they have a little order form. We have another pattern, like chart for the teddy bear design, and then more of the shops. And then at the very back, still more shops, and this design, which got cut out when someone sent in their order form. And these are for Christmas, and I'll just let you have a look at it. They look different, but they're all the same design. And that is our January, February 1989 issue of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. And I look forward to sharing another issue of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts with you in the next video that is from May, June 1989. And leave your comments for me in the section in the area below. I would love to hear what you have to say, either about this issue of the magazine or any issue of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, or if you want to talk about another Cross Stitch magazine, or just Cross Stitch in general. I look forward to seeing your comments.